Let's go over the concept of polarity. Remember, in chemistry, there are going to be attraction forces between atoms. We call these attraction forces chemical bonds. And usually the electrons are going to determine what type of bond occurs between atoms. There are a couple different types. You can see ionic, covalent, hydrogen, and then metallic bonds. Within covalent, we have things called polar covalent and non-polar covalent. Remember, in a covalent bond, there's going to be a sharing of electrons. You can see water here. We have our oxygen and two hydrogens. They are going to share the electrons between the hydrogens and oxygens, and they form these covalent bonds, which are fairly strong. Polarity itself is the unequal sharing of those electrons. What occurs from this unequal sharing is that we get these charges. You can see the negative charge here and the positive charge here. The reason why these electrons are not shared equally is due to something called electronegativity. This occurs when an atom is going to pull on the electrons more than the other atom will. So you can see this atom, this red one right here, is pulling on the electrons more than this white one is, which means the electrons are going to hang around this area more. And if you remember, electrons are negative, so this area is going to become more negative. That means that the electrons aren't going to be hanging around here, which makes this atom a little bit more positive. Atoms of elements are going to increase in their electronegativity as we get closer to the top and further to the right. So fluorine here is the most electronegative atom. Here are a couple different examples of polar molecules. So you can see our central carbon here surrounded by 3 hydrogens and a chlorine atom. And this chlorine atom is going to pull on the electrons more than the hydrogen atoms will. So what that's going to do is it's going to pull the electrons up here and create a negative charge. Same with the chlorine in this molecule. You can see the electrons being pulled by the chlorine just a little bit more that way. So we're going to have a negative charge around the chlorine and a positive charge around the hydrogen. Same with ammonia. You can see the nitrogen is going to pull on those electrons a little bit more, and there's going to be a negative charge here and positive charges around the hydrogens. Now, nonpolar molecules are going to be molecules that have generally an equal sharing of electrons. It's kind of tough to figure out whether a bond just by looking at it is polar or nonpolar, but here are some examples of nonpolar molecules. You can see when we have a lot of carbons and hydrogens just bond together, it's going to create a nonpolar molecule. Carbon dioxide is a nonpolar molecule because there's equal sharing between the carbons and the oxygens. And there's equal sharing between these hydrogen molecules because they have the same electronegativity, so they're going to pull on the electrons evenly.